original footage for this video actually is in this weird, very annoying corrupted limbo. So I spent all this time editing it, and it just wouldn't come out, and it was really frustrating, but I'm taking this as an opportunity to just regroup and make an even more concise, shorter, to-the-point video on how to implement silver floating into your bumper engine game. Now, this is just a basic. I don't have an animation for it, but I have a workaround for that. Essentially, it looks... First, I'll show it off for you guys. It looks like... There we go. It looks like this. And that was the timer running out. So you can only float for a limited amount of time. Or if you let go the A button, as I just did there. So yeah, you'll be able to have silver float. And I'm going to walk you through it, and I'm also going to provide the script for the float in the description to make it even easier. So first, we're going to go through the changes you'll have to make to the scripts that are here. And that's going to be, first and foremost, the action manager is where you're going to want to start. And this is simple. You're just going to want to take, you're essentially going to want to copy paste all the other actions and make a new action so that floating can work just like all the other actions. So I have it as action 13. Let's see, make sure that you have this line and this line and this line at the top. Alright, once you have that, you're going to head into regular action, action 00, and I added in this little public boolean silver, which we're going to get back to in a little bit. This just kind of makes me more comfortable that I can double check that Sonic or Tails aren't going to start just floating around randomly or aren't going to be trying to float and break the game. It just gives me that extra level of protection that makes me a little bit comfortable. Okie dokie. And let's take a look at, here is an important line to add. Under update, I believe. Yep. Under update, you have to write this line of code right here, float. If action 13 is not equal null, if the player is not grounded, and input get button down A, and silver equals true, change the action to action 13, and run the initial events of action 13. And one more important line of code is you need to change the homing attack and air dash. You essentially have to make sure that they don't activate if you have the float enabled. So write this line right here, and actions.action13 equals null, right at the other if statements along with player not being grounded. And you need to have that for both the homing attack and the air dash. Then after that, what you're going to do is you're going to head to the jump script, and you're essentially going to write all the same stuff. So the same line here, get button down A, float, and the same changes to the homing attack and air dash right here. Make sure that action 13 is null before you can float. Then now that the scripting is done, I don't think I'm missing anything. Hopefully not. So Now that the scripting is done, the rest is done in Unity. So you're going to set up the inspector. First thing you're going to do is you're going to add the float script to Silver with add component. Just type in action 13 float. After importing the script into your game, which the download for the script is in the description, you're welcome. If you want to just build it from scratch for some reason, I'll briefly explain how it works. While the button is held down, the rigid body's Y position is frozen. So Silver can't move up or down, and that simulates his float just like it works in 06 for the most part. And he goes back to normal if you lift up the button or if the timer goes out. So in the inspector up here, once you've added the script, make sure you set action 13 to player Silver so that it knows which action you're actually switching out into. Then for action regular, check the silver box that we created earlier, the boolean. And now filling out the inspector for float. Character animator is silver skin. Sounds is also silver skin. This is just for me, just lets me know if I'm floating. Sort of a relic of, I recycled a lot of Knuckles gliding script from this. Skin rotation speed you can play around with. I have it set to 90, but this basically determines how quickly Silver can turn left and right. So you can set that to your heart's content. Jump ball is the jump ball right here under Silver Skin. And this is the limit that I sort of stole from the homing attack code, where that's why it's called homing timer limit. I was a bit too lazy to rename these two things, but this you can set to your heart's content. This determines how long Silver is able to float. And there's one last thing you gotta do before you can get him floating. I mean, it will work now, but if you want it to look exactly the way I have it, or even better, if you make your own animation, go to Sonic Animator Generations Flight, because that's the animator that Silver uses. You want to right-click and create a new state right here. Name it 13 float like I did. Set the motion. I have the same motion as falling down, which I think is pretty close to Silver's animation in 06. But if you want to make it better, it would be pretty quick to just take this specific FBX, take it into Blender, and just move the arms. And you could make it look a lot like Silver's floating in 06, and it would look pretty good. So if you want to get better looking floating, go ahead and do that. But for me, this is good enough for me, because I'm not actually having Silver in my game. Then after you make that, you want to take it, you want to right click on any state, and click on Make Transition, and make a transition to float by clicking on Float after clicking Make Transition. Then click on your transition. Change Can Transition to Self to False. That's going to make your animations clearer. And your conditions. This is important. Make sure that your conditions hit plus and have it so that the transition triggers when action equals 13. I have that in the script where whatever animation you have here, it will play as long as you have this transition set up properly. And with that, guys, you now have, hopefully, Silver floating around in your game, if my controller will work. there he goes. Not the most gracious animation, but it functions in a way that I'm pretty happy with. So I really hope that you guys get some use out of this. It's a pretty simple script, but every little bit helps when you're starting out. So I'm really happy to help anyone who wants to have their silver floating around as he should be. If this is helpful, I would really appreciate if you guys would, keep in touch with my channel. Just because I'm currently developing a fan game called Sonic Angels, and I'm really excited to bring it to you guys. Demo's coming out for Halloween pretty soon. I don't know if it's going to be public or private, but there will be a demo. And I'm just really looking forward to sharing it with you guys. So take care, and remember, if you wanted to just have silver float and bass bumper engine, it would be no use. Well, that was lame. I should probably edit that out. But I know I'm too fucking lazy. Take care, guys.